Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to Phil and Dave's Excellent Adventures. Just Dave here. Today I'm talking about the movie Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever. This is going to be a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie yet and you are concerned about spoilers, I would suggest you go and watch the movie first before you watch this review. So, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever is the sequel to Black Panther. In the movie, T'Challa has passed away, and Wakanda is dealing with a threat from Namor, and his people, the Talokans. So, as far as what I liked about the movie, I thought mostly the cast was really good. I liked Angela Bassett, of course. She's always good, and she was great as Queen Ramonda. Winston Duke over there, I thought was great as well. I always really like him. Lupita Nyong'o is great, and I'm a big fan of hers. And I wish she would have been in the movie a little bit more, actually. But yeah, she was great in it. Lake Bella's in here quickly. I liked her in there. Martin Freeman, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, all of them, great. Most of the cast overall, I really enjoyed. I do like the movie started out with a sort of Chadwick Boseman tribute when they show the Marvel image, and they usually have a bunch of different characters. This was just sort of a silent, there was a bit of a wind sound, I think, but mostly a silent montage of all these scenes of Chadwick Boseman. So I thought that was a nice little tribute, and there's sort of a tribute at the end of the movie as well. I like the movie had strong female characters, which you don't see a lot of in superhero movies, so that was cool to see, and I think most of them did a really great job. I like most of the music in the movie, especially the score. I thought that was good, and I like most of the songs in it as well, but not all of them. There's some funny parts in the movie, specifically stuff from Dominique Thorne as Riri Williams. The part where she says, "Oh, I get kidnapped, and now there's no Black Panther." I thought that was pretty good. I like the references to the sort of Mayan or Aztec Mesoamerican culture, which is cool. I always like to hear about new cultures, and it's not something you see a lot of in Hollywood movies, so that was cool. And again, a spoiler here, but Michael B. Jordan shows up in a quick little kind of cameo scene, and I enjoyed that as well. I like Michael B. Jordan. I liked him in the first movie, and it was good to see him back here in this one. So as far as what I disliked about the movie, unfortunately, Letitia Wright here, I'm not a fan of hers, partially because she's anti-vax and transphobic and sort of a Christian fundamentalist, and the fact that they've got someone who is in real life anti-science playing a scientist is sort of ridiculous to me. Yeah, so I had some issues with that, and honestly, I didn't love her performance either. A lot of people say it was good, and maybe it was my own kind of personal biases against her, but I didn't even think her performance was particularly good, actually. So maybe that's just me. Tenoch Huerta is in here as Namor or Namor. I thought it was Namor, but I guess it's Namor. Anyway, the thing about him is I liked his performance, but it wasn't like Namor in the comics. And I'm not talking about the whole like Aztec Mayan thing, which I actually think was kind of cool and an interesting way to do it. I'm talking about the fact that usually in the comics, Namor is like a very, kind of proud and pretentious, kind of full of himself kind of character. And he played him as much more like calm and charming and charismatic, which was cool. I mean, but that's just not really what the character is like. And I'm not going to sit here and claim I'm a big Namor fan or Namor fan, but I don't know. I guess I didn't understand, if you're going to make a character that's so different from the source material, then why even use that character at all? I didn't love the direction in a lot of this, particularly the action scenes. They do a lot of the very close kind of shaky cam stuff, which I just hate. It's very frustrating. And a lot of the stuff, even the opening scenes of the funeral, were all very kind of close, very, either mid or kind of close shots, which I guess was maybe to sort of convey the intimacy of the occasion. But I wanted to see more big, grand shots of like Wakanda and all these people and everything. And maybe it was a budgetary thing, maybe it was a COVID thing, but I don't know. It made the movie seem really small to me in a lot of ways. There's a lot of writing in this that I didn't particularly care for. A lot of stuff where there's misunderstandings that happen, or where if people would have just taken 5 seconds to explain themselves, then stuff wouldn't have happened, which I realize does happen in real life, and it's a thing, but it just made it feel like a sitcom or like a TV movie or something, where it's like, well, couldn't you have just, tried to help that girl who you stabbed? Or, couldn't you have just talked it out a little bit more? But I don't know, stuff like that. I understand misunderstandings happen, but I wish it would be a little more nuanced or a little more subtle the way they did it. The whole Taliban origin story, I didn't particularly love. It was fine, but again, just, I don't know, I guess, why is it Taliban? I understand that Aquaman uses Atlantis, but Atlantis, as far as I know, anyone can use. So I don't think it's like a legal rights thing or anything like that. Maybe they just wanted to separate themselves from Aquaman and Atlantis and all of that, but I guess I don't really understand why necessarily. Most of the humor in this movie didn't work for me. There was a couple funny parts, like I said, mostly Riri Williams stuff, but yeah, a lot of the stuff, to me at least, the humor kind of fell flat. The audience that I was with got a decent reaction, but there was definitely some jokes that got no reaction from the audience. I didn't particularly like the Ironheart costume. It looked very fake to me, very like CGI, but like bad CGI, like a foreign movie kind of CGI with like a kind of a limited budget. I didn't particularly like the design of the Midnight Angel costume either. I'm not familiar with that character. I don't know if that's what the costume looks like in the comics, but yeah, I didn't really like the way that looked too much. Again, spoilers here. I didn't like that they killed Queen Ramonda, because Angela Bassett was the best part of the movie, in my opinion, and killing her off to motivate the character is, again, I mean, it's kind of fridging, even if it was for Shuri. I feel like it's something that's overdone in superhero movies, and I wish we would kind of find a way to I don't know, come up with something more interesting or different. There was a lot of bad CGI in the movie, particularly with Black Panther. Once again, spoilers, Shuri becomes Black Panther. There's parts where it's very obvious that the Black Panther is all CGI, which I understand maybe they weren't able to film with her because, in addition to all the COVID stuff and everything, I think she lives in England and she got a concussion at some point during filming, so that also was difficult. So I understand things happen, but yeah, and I don't want to say anything bad about the CGI guys. I know it's a very difficult job, and they probably are underpaid and overworked, and I'm sure they're doing their best. But they've got time limits and constraints they have to meet, and I guess I expect more from a $250 million movie. Like I said, I didn't like the action scenes. A lot of the stuff was just too dark too. There's this whole sequence with Lake Bell where they go underwater, where it's so dark I couldn't see what was happening, and I don't know, maybe it was the theater I was in or the screen they were using or something, but it was just so dark that I couldn't really, I mean, I could, but it was hard to follow. It was really a struggle to kind of pay attention to what was going on there. There's just a bunch of exposition in this. I feel like the movie just kind of goes from one exposition scene to the next. Like, I kind of hate that when movies do that. I understand exposition is necessary, but to me, the way that it's handled is sort of a mark of how good the movie is. And in this movie, I didn't think it was handled very well. I found the movie kind of boring at parts. There was a couple times I started to drift off and I wanted to like fall asleep because it just wasn't entertaining me. Yeah. Like I said, it kind of felt like a TV movie. It didn't really feel like a superhero movie. I didn't really like the Rihanna song at the end. I'm not a big Rihanna fan. And I really didn't like that they made Shuri Black Panther because, again, I just don't like the actress. And I guess, you should separate, the person from the art from the artist or whatever, but I don't know, it just bothers me. I really wish they would have just recasted her or instead made Lupita Nyong'o Black Panther or Winston Duke or anybody else. Really, they had other options, but it is what it is. So other than that, movie was directed by Ryan Coogler, who directed the first Black Panther. He also did Fruitvale Station and Creed, and I think Creed 2 as well. And yeah, I've liked his movies. I thought the first Black Panther was pretty good. I really liked Killmonger. I thought he was actually probably the best Marvel villain up to that point, because that was before Thanos had really come in, at least majorly. And yeah, and I didn't love the CGI in that movie either, or the fighting at the end. I remember being somewhat unimpressed by that, but mostly liking that movie and actually really liking the villain and his motivations and the storytelling there. This movie was written by Coogler and a guy named Joe Robert Cole, who also wrote the first Black Panther, something called Amber Lake. He doesn't have a ton of credits. But yeah, like I said, I wasn't super impressed with the writing of this. In a lot of ways, it actually kind of reminded me of Black Adam, which just came out a month or so ago, and a similar kind of thing where it's just kind of long and boring and uninteresting, at least to me. Why were the Tolokans blue? I don't understand that. I don't know if maybe that's something from the comics. It could have happened at some point, but like, why do that? I don't understand, especially with Avatar coming out next month, and Disney owns Avatar, so why would they I mean, maybe they're trying to promote Avatar. I didn't really understand that choice. Why not just make it Atlantis? Like I said before, the Talokan is whatever. I guess it's based on an Aztec god called Talokan, but it's a little confusing to me too, because they kind of combine Aztec and Mayan culture a bit, and I realize I get them confused myself a lot. But it's like they're speaking a Mayan language as Yucatec, but then like and showing a lot of Mayan culture, but then they're calling it after an Aztec god, and even Namor they call him I forget what they call him now, but well, Tolokan maybe, I don't remember. But either way, it to me is a little confusing, where it's just like, all right, these are kind of two separate cultures, and I realize that we're influenced by each other, or one was influenced by the other, but I don't know. I just didn't really understand that. I didn't really, I swear I thought that I had read and even looked up that his name was Namor. And now they're like, no, it's Namor. It's seen Namor. It comes from this phrase. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But it also sounds like something a writer would come up with, which I guess writers come up with all this. But, I didn't think the movie really tied into the MCU very well either. I mean, or not, it just didn't really have a big connection other than the stuff with Julia Louis-Dreyfus and Martin Freeman. I feel like if I just skipped this movie, or if anybody skipped this movie, they wouldn't really be missing too much. I mean, other than, of course, T'Challa's death and everything, which is significant. But as far as its connectedness to the rest of the MCU, there wasn't a ton of it, at least that I remember. So they introduced Namor, so that's something too, I guess. But yeah, unfortunately, I was a little disappointed by this movie. I went into it, I don't know. I think I tried to give it a fair chance, and I realize I'm maybe not the target audience for this movie or whatever. But yeah, at the end of the day, I didn't think it was that great. So I think my score is going to be a 6 out of 10. But if you saw the movie, let me know what you thought of it down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great night, and I will see you here again next week.